Good afternoon, everybody. My presentation is going to come from a different angle, and that is because some years back, I was invited to make a similar presentation, and we were divided in the same way, meaning the two colleagues. During the same session, we had both the law students and the students from the School of Criminal Justice. The colleague who presented and I, presentations were basically the same. So this time around, I said, no, I cannot have the same kind of situation. So I've really taken it from a different perspective, and there are certain things which I have left out, but which Prof. Snyman has included there. With that, I begin. About my own background. I'm a former UNISA student. Yes, an employee as well, but that came much later, and I'm absolutely honored to serve at my alma mater. I did 3 degrees with UNISA, all of them were coursework. Later, it became a disadvantage when I chose to study further, realizing that it wasn't so wise to stick to coursework and avoid the research side of it. And then I did my doctoral degree with the University of KwaZulu-Natal. Given my disadvantage, I actually had the privilege of choosing a supervisor. So obviously I chose somebody that I knew that this person is a perfectionist. And yes, it may be difficult to work with a perfectionist, but what I know is that at the end of the day, having been supervised by a perfectionist, then I will definitely know my story. So I was quite happy that I had that privilege. So this is how my own journey went. My supervisor had a criminal law background. That was what he was teaching. That was what he was researching on, etc. And then here I was, and I came with my corporate law. And so together we brainstormed, and eventually we decided that, well, corporate criminal liability will actually work quite well. I did extensive reading even before formulating the topic, and I so much enjoyed the topic of corporate criminal liability. Then I decided to do a comparative study there. Obviously, I was entering the stage having avoided a full research master's degree, and the feelings I had the fear of the unknown, being scared, not knowing how research is going to go. But fortunately, that was minimal. The dominant feeling that I had was the willingness to learn. And through the positive attitude and the hard work that I put in, I did graduate with my doctoral degree. And then along the way, I learned the basic rules of engagement. When you embark on a research project, especially one which is research towards an academic degree, then you need to understand that, as with a marriage or any personal relationship, for this project to succeed, you must be dedicated to it. You must be willing to sacrifice for it, and you must be ready to spend a lot of time on it or with it. So you need to balance your relationships. You should not neglect your loved ones. Give both partners, your partner as in the human being who is your partner in that special relationship, and your partner in terms of this project, which is going to lead you to getting that degree that you want, that postgraduate degree. So you must treat both partners well. Both marriages must succeed. There shouldn't be divorce because your research project is taking you away from your partner so much that they feel that you no longer care for them. You are just caring for your project. At the same time, as with any supervisor, we don't want to hear that you are dropping out and the reason is because of your marriage or your relationship. So it's important to ensure that your loved ones are aware of the journey that you are taking. So if you didn't tell them before you start, make sure that they are aware so that you can avoid those jealous episodes, and definitely make time for your loved ones. You know, you can have your Sundays, know that you spend that time with them. And then you have to learn to say no to some social events. You may be saying to yourselves, but some of us have been registered for so long. Why are you only telling us now? Or we already have experienced this thing. But I know that among us, as we sit as part of this audience, there are those who are benefiting or who will benefit from this information that I'm sharing. And it's information which it's not part of our duty as a supervisor to share that information with you. But as a human being, we want you to be holistic. We want you to continue with life, and we definitely want you to make sure that you balance things so that at the end of the day, you succeed. So what is required of you throughout the journey, from the beginning right to the end, you really need to have a positive outlook. You must be willing to go the extra mile, and this is advisable to do regardless of your own research background. I obviously had no research background, but even if you do have a good research background, you still must go that extra mile if you want to succeed. And that means that you must be willing to read, 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 and read and read and read. So even if you have little or no academic writing experience, you have to be willing to learn. And you do not need to be dependent. Don't just do what your supervisor tells you. Don't just wait for your supervisor to ask you, have you done a literature research? And then you only start at that time. You really should be prepared to research on your topic and also to research on research methodologies. It's never too late to learn. So that positive outlook and the preparation to do well, it really goes a long way in terms of being the decision maker as to whether at the end of the day you do succeed or you do not succeed. And we really, as academics, do not become happy. We certainly do not rejoice when you drop out. And we understand already the amount of time you've invested, the amount of money you've invested, and then halfway through you feel that no, maybe you feel you're not cut out for this, or you just feel this is too much pressure, or any other reason. So we are there as your supervisors. Don't just drop out. Share with us. Tell us what the challenges are so that we can hold your hand in this journey. Not saying you must be dependent on us, but just saying to you, as part of our student support, know that we are available to you. We are ready to listen to you. We are ready to advise you. As we rejoice when we see you having started the journey and we see you reaching your destination. All right, so when does the question of research methodology arise? Even before you start researching on your topic, you need to have an idea regarding the research methodology. Obviously, your keyword there is topic. You must already know what topic you're going to research on, and it is your topic that will guide you. So as you prepare your proposal, you need to explain this. So now we're just going to quickly go into what the purpose of a proposal is. So ladies and gentlemen, research is a journey. Yeah, it's a journey. Just like today, it's a Friday afternoon. The weather is great. And then say my partner and I decide, how about we go away for the weekend? Okay, that's an impromptu trip. Of course, such journeys may be fun, but it may also be dangerous because one taking an impromptu trip like that, unless you specifically agree and you say, this is where we're going to. But if it's one of those where let's just take a ride, on Saturday we should be at the Drakensberg, but we'll see where we'll sleep, you know. And we might even change our mind and not even go to the berg or whatever. But it's already late in the afternoon. The journey starts. We don't know where we're going to stop. Yes, there are B&Bs, there are hotels along the way. But because we not even having an itinerary with us that we have planned, we might actually find ourselves being caught in areas where it might not be safe to do so because we are actually doing something we've not done before. We've chosen an area which we have not visited before, etc. So a planned journey is actually the best. And before you reach there, you must have a clear itinerary showing where your journey will start, when will it start, how will you travel, where and when will you have stopovers, etc. So the importance of a proposal, of course, it's part of planning this journey of research that you are embarking on. And one of the, according to Burley and Moreland, one of the essential issues of any research project is knowing how to plan it. So before you reach your destination safely, you must have a clear itinerary. And when taking the research journey, your proposal is your itinerary. It shows you where your journey will start, when the journey will start, how you will travel, where and when you'll have your stopovers. And so once that proposal has been accepted and you start writing, make sure you go there regularly. See if you're still on the way that you wanted to go to. And at this point, I do want to say that it just because the proposal is there, there may be reasons why you may need to make changes along the way. For instance, if somebody at another university has overtaken you and you see that they've already made findings in that area while you were still busy researching. So changes can be made here and there, but as you make your changes to your work, you do not do that on your own. There are procedures to be followed. And of course, your supervisor needs to be with you, needs to understand what is happening and will assist you along the way in terms of the procedures. So now, as you embark on your research journey, you need to work smart. Ibarola and Anderson say all research, be it scientific, action, historical, philosophical, or whatever, it begins with questions. And then they go on to say, not just questions, but significant questions. So you need to choose the research methodology carefully, and obviously that research methodology that you use, it should flow from those questions, those significant research questions that you are raising. And all of that should be clear in your proposal. So as you take the journey, Greek says the question you wish to ask should, to a great extent, guide your choice of methods. You will need to decide after an extensive literature review which is the best and most appropriate method for your project and why other methods are not suitable. Okay, research methods are techniques and procedures that a researcher uses in order to collate and analyze that data. These arise from or are linked to the research question as already stated, and those are those significant questions that are raised by the researcher. Okay. Methodology is defined by Beetle as the study of research methods. When you plan a project, you decide to use different methods to obtain different forms of information. So again, it brings us back to that issue that you are guided by the research that you want to make, the significant questions that you want answered. So in law, usually we use the quantitative legal research methodology. There's also the qualitative legal research methodology. And then again, being guided by the significant questions that you are asking, there may be a need for you to use mixed methods. I'm going to start with the quantitative legal research methodology. It's the one utilized mostly in the School of Law, but as already stated, it is definitely not the only one applicable. So with this one, it's numerical. It predominantly concerns quantity. And as already stated, it's mostly used when researching in law. The researcher does not actually interact with the subject that is being analyzed. You'll see just now what I mean by that. So the researcher is able to collate statistics from various sources without having to physically go there. I say, for example, when doing a comparative study of the legal position in various jurisdictions, this can be done without literally visiting each jurisdiction. I'll use myself here as a practical example. When I did my thesis, I did a comparative study. So we had South Africa, we had Canada, and we had the United Kingdom. And yes, I've been to the United Kingdom, but that was during some other time for some other reason. It had nothing to do with my research. And as for Canada, I've only been to the border between Canada and the States. So I cannot say much about Canada in terms of having been physically there and interacting with the actual research that I'm doing. But when you're doing quantitative legal research, you can do your research without you having to physically go there. And I must say, as UNISA students and as UNISA colleagues, we have a very huge advantage. People come from other universities when they're doing their doctoral studies, their postgraduate studies, to UNISA to make use of the UNISA library. However, some of us as students, even though we have this treasure at our disposal, we don't realize the treasure that we have, and we don't maximize the use of the library. So I encourage you to please familiarize yourself with the library, know how to make use of the online sources, because if you don't and you are only relying on the books, there's a lot of information, there are a lot of articles, and those journals are not necessarily printed. You have the most recent information readily available to you and for various jurisdictions. However, if you do not know, you will not use them. If you don't know how to use them, you will not use them. So don't wait for your supervisor to realize that you are lacking in terms of the sources that are available to you. Be proactive. Go to the law librarian. Ask for assistance, ask for guidance, ask them to train you, to show you how to make use of this treasure that you have before you, and then you will really see that there is so much information at your disposal. You can write on any jurisdiction which you feel is important for your specific research, and you are not compelled at any stage to go there because you are struggling to get the information. You will get the information through the UNISA library, and where you struggle, our law librarian is there. And to our students who are in the School of Criminal Justice, we have our librarian there. So we have Mr. Tsepo Constable there, and then we have Mrs. Yegis Naidu in the School of Law. Please, they are ready, they are willing, and they really go out of their way to make time to meet with you, whether it is on Teams or you want to meet with them personally, and they can assist you. So you will be able to carry out your quantitative legal research while being where you are. Newman says that the researcher is said to be detached from the object of study. Well, he's obviously still referring to the issue that you do not really have to go there to get hold of the sources. And then Griggs doesn't really agree with him and says no one can be fully detached from any type of research, precisely because researchers are the sum of their accumulated knowledge, which will be based on certain assumptions about the world. All right, so the most common types are social surveys, analysis of previously collected data or official statistics, structure and structured observation. So it usually deals with or tackles macro or large scale issues, and the research strategy is deductive, i.e. a conclusion is drawn from a set of premises or inferences or an inference made. Okay. Quantitative research has been referred to as theory testing and predictive. The aim is usually to identify general patterns and relationships. Those of you who are doing comparative studies will relate to what I'm saying. Used to quantify the problem through the generating of numerical data or data that can be transformed into usable statistics. So it's used to quantify attitudes, opinions, behavior, and other defined variables. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, I'm now moving to qualitative legal research. Okay, some regard it as being opposite of quantitative legal research, but that's not really accurate. So this one is concerned with interpretation of subjective experiences of the individuals being studied. It involves data interpretation, so it could be analysis of cases in their own social and cultural context over a specific period of time, and it entails data collection in several ways, including interviews. So it is exploratory research. It is suitable for use in gaining an understanding of underlying reasons, opinions, as well as motivations. It provides insights into the problem, and it helps to develop ideas. Unlike quantitative legal research, the researcher is not detached from the research. And I'm using the word detached here, keeping in mind that we've already spoken about the fact that, yes, we are saying detached, but we agree that you can't really be completely detached. But basically here, when you're dealing with qualitative legal research, the researcher interacts with the object of study. So it is not a desktop study where you are able to get information through reading through opinions, etc., and other data that has been collected. So here you actually interact with the object of the study. So the researcher may actually spend a reasonable amount of time doing fieldwork, and even up to 1/3 of the actual amount spent on the entire research. So there's a lot of fieldwork that has to be done here. And yeah, so with mixed methods, here it's for the researcher to weigh up front and make a choice as to the best route to follow, or choose the best combination that will yield results. Again, bringing us back to what we said, that you have these questions, and it is those questions that will guide you. Now, as I near my conclusion, I'm saying to you, our students, our M&D students at UNISA, please be proactive. Do not always wait for the supervisor to raise issues. So try and be independent. Don't rely wholly on your supervisor to be the one to tell you this needs to be done, that needs to be done, etc. Be aware of plagiarism, etc., etc. So you need to take into account ethical issues, familiarize yourself with the ethical policy of the university, and keep in mind that ethical clearance is required, even though in most cases in law, it will be for desktop study, but it is still required. And my parting shot, as you embark on your plane journey, which your loved ones are aware of, travel safely. Please ensure that throughout your journey, you keep checking your itinerary. Make sure that you're still on the right track. If there are things that need to be changed, for instance, you may have chosen a jurisdiction where both, I'll make an example, let's use maybe the Netherlands. You've chosen the Netherlands and you have that in your proposal, which has been accepted, and then you also have another jurisdiction, maybe you've chosen Ghana, etc. And then you find that with Ghana, you don't struggle to get the information. The information is there in English, but now with the Netherlands, you have the information in Dutch. And at first you spend money, you have people translate for you, and you knew from the beginning that it will be Dutch, so you put aside money or you got a bursary or whatever, but you were aware of what the situation will be. And then you get your translators to translate the work for you, and you find that when you've given your translator 50 pages to translate for you, you get back 8 pages. So then you need to realize that this is not working. So I must now look for another translator, or I need to go back and speak with my supervisor and perhaps look for another jurisdiction which is relevant, but where I will be able to get information in English as I sit at home in front of my laptop, and I'm in the UNISA library website and I'm getting the information in English, so I will be able to move on. So yes, there may be changes to your itinerary, but just it is important to keep going back there. You might forget some of your questions, those significant questions. So you need to go back, make sure that as you are working on it, you are actually tackling those particular questions. And then please, I urge you, remove the word divorce and the phrase dropping out from your vocabulary, because that's the last thing we want to hear as your supervisors. We don't want to hear that your marriage has crumbled because of your research, and we don't want to hear that you are dropping out because of your research. So make sure that you balance that. I am repeating this. It is important. I have had students who were in that particular situation, and it is not nice. It delays you, because now when you choose, if you choose that you are continuing with your studies, you are now not in a right mental state to concentrate on your studies when you're dealing with a divorce and maybe young children, etc. And then that just extends the time that you must spend on your studies. So I'm not saying that it is impossible for that to happen. Yes, it may happen, but I'm just saying let's get the warnings at early stages, so that we can be on the lookout, so that we can be able to see that, no, it's now the 14th day in a row where I've been locking myself in the office and not communicating with my family. So you must see that, no, now it's a bit skew. I'm now spending way too much time here. And in the 14 days, I have not given anyone a chance, because by the time I go to bed, people are fast asleep, and by the time they wake up, I'm already sitting in the office and I'm working. So let's balance. And then bon voyage. We wish you a safe journey, and we can't wait to see you and your loved ones during graduation day, when you have reached your destination safely. I thank you.